Hello, it's Elizabeth. Bridget's well. I'm here to do my next video for the YouTube Pagan Challenge, and I actually have decided, since I didn't have a YouTube channel last year, I've actually decided that I am going to do the 2016 challenge this year as well, in addition to the 2017 one, because I really liked the questions that were on the 2016 challenge. And I am getting hot in this room. The cats were in here earlier and then they started eating my plants, which is a no-no, and so I had to kick them out. So I'm going to pull my hair back. All right, better. Because typically I'm very much a tomboy. You probably will never, I don't want to say never, you probably will rarely ever see me with makeup on, which is something I contemplated before I started this channel, because I was just like, oh, I don't look like a lot of the women on YouTube, but this is me. If you don't like it, if you have a problem with it, then go elsewhere. Anyway, so the 2016 YouTube Pagan Challenge, for the first, I'm going to hit the first couple weeks, because like I said, it's the end of January 2017. It's actually the 25th today, I think. I work today. I should know that. I think it's the 25th, maybe. Anyway, doesn't matter. So I'm going to try to do these, and at least I guess that would give me at least 2 videos a week. Maybe not every week, but we'll see. So the first 2 questions from the 2016 challenge are, how did you find your path, and are you in or out of the broom closet? I'm going to hit number 2 first. I am kind of out of the broom closet. Take my necklaces out, which I do wear. These are some of my necklaces. Anyway, I'm kind of out of the closet. I mentioned this in my intro video. My husband obviously knows. He is also pagan. Follows the Norse pantheon, but he's not a Satru. Doesn't consider himself heathen, but he does worship Odin and Frigga. So I'm out of the closet in most of my life. I am not out of the closet at work. I do live in the South, in Tennessee, Middle Tennessee to be exact. And call it an irrational fear or a rational fear. But in this area, it is not necessarily safe to be out of the closet. And I work for a large corporation in this area. And I like to have a job, and I would like to advance if I need to, if I find position that I want. And I have advanced since I've been at this company. But to me, being out at work and the possibility of it causing issues is not worth it to me. So, no, I'm not out at work. And I'm also not out with part of my husband's family. And the reason for that is because they are very conservative-leaning Christians. And they don't live near us. They're about an hour away. We don't see them very regularly. And so it's really not a huge issue with that for me, because it's not something I'm constantly bombarded with. Every time we go up there, though, they invite us to go to church with them. But we politely decline, because it's not our thing. And so, but with my family, I'm out. With my mother-in-law, I'm out. With, my friends, no. Well, they know because they're pagan, too. Most of the people that I'm friends with are pagan. Not all of them. But most of the people that I spend time with, socially, are pagan or are very open-minded, metaphysical, new age, etc., etc. So, yes, I'm in and I'm out. So I'm kind of on the threshold, just like Bridget. Anyway, not that she's in or out, but she kind of is in or out, isn't she? She's Christian and pagan. Not that I'm Christian and pagan, but she is. She can be. Anyway, the second, or actually technically the first, how did I find my path? that is a long story, and I'm going to try to keep it short as possible. I first discovered witchcraft and wizardry in my teens, and I'm 40. I turned 40 this year, and well, in 2016, excuse me. So technically this year I'll be 41 in October. So I grew up in the Christian church, in Quaker and Methodist churches, technically, and never really felt quite at home. And when I was a young teenager, 13, 14, we stopped going to church. I think partially because we had moved, switched churches, and it really wasn't the same as the home church where most of my family went. And also because my sister and I were getting older, and neither one of us liked going to church. And I think my parents were tired of fighting with us on Sunday mornings to get us up and going. So we stopped, and we stopped going. And we had been very regular. You know, we were there on Sundays, Wednesday nights. My sister and I was actually active in the choir, and I used to sing solos when I was younger. Can't really sing like that anymore, but you know, it is what it is. So we were very active. My parents were active, me and my sister were active, and then I think as my sister and I got older and came into our own more, we realized that we really didn't like going to church. So we stopped going in my teenage years, and it's not like I went from Christian into paganism like, woo. I think it was always there. I just didn't have the ability to really explore it. And remember, this was pre-internet. This was in the early 90s. For those of you who have never lived without the internet, you know, we did survive back then. You just had to go to the library. So, there was a store here in Nashville called Magical Journeys, and I need to stop touching the table with my foot. There was a store here in Nashville called Magical Journeys. It's no longer here. And my friends and I would go there, and I loved it. It was pagan friendly. It was new age. It was very pagan friendly. Very. You know, they had readers and crystals and books and, you know, all sorts of magical things. And I remember the very first book I bought was The 21 Lessons of Merlin. And I believe the author's name is Douglas Armstrong, maybe. Which I realize now is not exactly the best, most accurate pagan book. But I still have it because of, you know, the nostalgia. So when I guess I must have been 16, 17 when I bought that. So I'd started looking into it. And then I went off to college in North Carolina. I was there for 2 years. My first year, I didn't know anybody. I was by myself, 6 hours away from everything I knew, in Asheville, North Carolina, which is beautiful. And I think if I had felt more secure, I might have branched out that direction. But I actually ended up going back to Christianity. My roommates were very Christian, and very kind Christians. Now, it wasn't like they were stuffing it down my throat. But I think I just wanted to fit in. So I started going to Bible study and going to church, and got very involved in the church groups on campus, and probably did that for about a year. I'm guessing 6 months to a year, maybe longer. I don't remember. It was like 20 years ago. So, and then I realized it wasn't for me. And the big moment for me was we were at a talk, and they were talking about homosexuality and how it was a sin and incredibly wrong, and, you know, all the stuff that goes along with people that believe that. And I remember walking back to our dorms, and I told my roommate, I said, I just don't agree with that at all, because I had friends who were gay and bisexual in high school, and they were wonderful, and I loved them. And she basically said, well, no, we don't deal with those people. And right then and there, I knew, no, that's not for me. So I kind of drifted. I actually transferred schools to Memphis, Tennessee, and met a woman who was Wiccan and got introduced to her friends a little bit and kind of hung out with them, but I really didn't. And read, I read Scott Cunningham's books and kind of got a bit of a taste of that. But I didn't really feel Wiccan. Like, I didn't like the structure. There was a lot of structure. I'm definitely more of a go with the flow kind of person. And now that I'm older, I kind of realize that because of my own intuitive abilities, that I tend to go more intuitively with things than, the boxes that some people can put around rituals and spirituality. So I kind of started learning about that, but I knew it really wasn't for me. And when I left Memphis, I moved back to the Middle Tennessee area to live because it was home. My family's here, etc., etc. So I kind of drifted for a little bit. I would go to, like, Nashville is known. I obviously live in Nashville. Excuse me. Or south of Nashville, technically, is where I live now. But I'm from the Nashville area. I've spent most of my life here. So Nashville's really kind of known for its churches. However, there is a metaphysical and pagan community here. So at the time, I was starting to get more active in the metaphysical community, the New Age. I would go to classes, or we have these expos here once a year. They're huge, with readers and healers and people selling metaphysical things like angels and, just whatever you would think would be at a metaphysical expo. So I would go to those, or I would occasionally, I can't remember if Magical Journeys was gone at this point. I don't think it was. No, it was not. I would go there occasionally, get readings and look at the books and excuse me. And then I was at one of the expos, and I ended up meeting the woman who would become my first spiritual teacher. She was not pagan per se, but she did teach Native American shamanistic teachings and also South American healing lineages, as well as practices. And so I was with her for 5 years. I learned healing techniques. I worked on my own personal demons, discovered my own gifts, my own intuitive gifts, which I believe I've hidden because of the way the world is these days, which it's getting better in some ways for those of us who are gifted, which technically everyone is gifted, but intuitively gifted. So I was with her for 5 years, and I learned a lot, and I healed a lot. However, when that relationship ended, it ended badly, and it hurt a lot. It was very bad, very depressing. This was someone I trusted. This was a person that I had put my faith in, and basically ended up feeling betrayed. So, it happens. It's life. People disappoint you. Things happen. People show their true colors. And I'm sure if she told the story, it would be very different. But there's always 3 sides to the story, or 4 or 5 or 7 or 5 million. I don't know. Anyway, so that relationship ended, and I'd kind of, before that relationship had ended, I had met some people in the pagan community here, and I kind of started hanging out with some of them. And one of them was my husband, who I met him through a friend of his, who she did kind of help me come out a little more with my gifts, because I was just starting to learn how to use them. So as that started, I ended up, like a year later, I think maybe, I decided to take a year and a day class here with There's a group called Spiral, which is serving pagans in religion and life. You can look them up on Facebook. We're everywhere. So I took the year day class and became good friends with the teachers, who are still very good friends of mine, and just started being a part of that community. So that's kind of how I found my path. Even though I really feel like I've been on it this whole time, but as far as being technically pagan, it's been since 2012-ish, 2013, since I've actually really called myself a pagan, but I've really been a pagan my whole life. You know, I've had dreams I remember having dreams when I was a child that would come true. And of course, I've always had a good affinity and communication with animals. But that's another video probably. So as I started taking these classes, I actually started taking them to learn something new, to meet more people, because I felt isolated. Even though my husband and I have a great relationship, you do need more than just one person in your life to socialize with. But as time went on, I started stepping into more of a leadership role and moved forward with the classes that I was taking, to the point where now I guess technically I've been a mentor for the year and a day class this past year. I've led rituals for the community. We do the holidays, and we were doing the full and new moons, but now we're just doing the full moons. So I've led new and full, but since I'm not technically clergy, I haven't done any of the big holidays. However, I just recently, the beginning of this month, the beginning of the year of 2017, joined Order of Bards, Obates, and Druids, because it's something I've been thinking about doing for probably at least 6 months now, and finally decided that it was time. So I'm getting ready to take their Bardic course. So that's another part of my path that is a little newer than the others. However, I do know that, I believe that I was a druid in past life. So for me, it's like coming home. And so I guess technically that's how I found my path. And if I were to have to name it, you know, because everybody likes names, I guess Pagan Druid Witch, maybe. I don't do a lot of typical spell work, like, you know, throw herbs in and this and this and that. I do a lot of intention, I guess technically intention magic, prayers, thought magic, as opposed to actually physically sitting down and throwing things together. I also tend to I will leave offerings for the elementals and the gods. So I guess technically that would be witchcraft. But I don't do a lot of traditional straight up spell work. So that's how I found my path. It's ever evolving, just like everything in life. You know, who knows where I'll be next year? Who knows where I'll be 3 years or 5 years from now? I know that through the studies I've done for the pagan classes, and just my own interactions with others, and the knowledge that I have come to find within myself, has increased my confidence in personal sovereignty exponentially. It's been an amazing journey so far, and I'm looking forward to what the next few years bring. And hopefully this was an enjoyable video. I hope you have a wonderful day, and many blessings.